And breaking right now at 3, the son of Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer now officially charged with murdering his parents. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Annabelle Sedano. LA County's district attorney talked about charging Nick Reiner with 2 counts of first-degree murder here on NBC4 less than 2 hours ago. Those charges will include 2 counts of first-degree murder with special circumstances that could open the door to the death penalty. We also learned former LA County prosecutor turned defense lawyer Alan Jackson will be representing Nick Reiner. Earlier this afternoon, NBC4's Alex Rozier captured video of Jackson at the Reiner home in Brentwood. NBC4 investigative reporter Eric Leonard first broke this story on Sunday. He joins us now from downtown LA, where the DA announced those charges this afternoon. Eric.
Hi, Annabelle. The LA County DA's office just filing the criminal complaint in the last few minutes, detailing the allegations against Nick Reiner that he took the lives of his parents over the weekend. The initial appearance that Nick Reiner was supposed to make in court this morning was delayed, but LA County DA Nathan Hochman says the case will move forward quickly.
These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with the special circumstance of multiple murders. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, that being a knife. These charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty.
DA Nathan Hochman there saying his office will evaluate the evidence and circumstances later on to decide whether or not to pursue a death sentence. He says the prosecution of Nick Reiner may also involve a mental health evaluation, which would ultimately depend on Reiner's defense to request it and pursue it in court. Nick Reiner is 32. He's now being represented by defense attorney Alan Jackson, who said an initial hearing on these charges will happen as soon as Nick Reiner is medically cleared by the jail staff. Nick was arrested Sunday night by detectives and deputy U.S. Marshals who tracked him to Exposition and Vermont near the USC campus. The LAPD said today he was arrested without incident, but they declined to detail whether he said anything about his parents' deaths or what, if anything, was found during the arrest. Earlier today, police confirmed the bodies of Rob and Michelle Reiner were found inside their bedroom, first by firefighters, then police Sunday afternoon, and the criminal complaint confirms today that the couple was stabbed to death. Now, Nick Reiner is being held in jail without bail. That initial court appearance could happen tomorrow, but as you heard the defense attorney say, it is dependent on when he's cleared by medical staff, certainly within the next few days. Live at the Hall of Justice in downtown LA, I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.
All right, Eric, thank you very much for that update. And for more context, legal analyst Royal Oakes joins us live to talk about the case. Royal, as always, thank you very much for your time today.
You bet.
Hey, Royal, so what stood out to you as the DA was reading those charges?
Very aggressive language by DA Nathan Hochman. Sometimes DAs say, well, you know, these are just allegations. People are presumed innocent. DA Nathan Hochman referred to him as this murderer. In addition, I think letting us know that the key to the case, assuming the law enforcement has solid evidence that Nick Reiner actually committed the murders, the key will be his mental state. And one of the other things Hochman said was, well, yes, he has to be cleared, but every defendant has to be cleared before moving from the jail to court. Oh, you might have somebody who is suicidal or psychotic or physical or mental problems. So I think the DA is trying to tamp down the idea that there were mental or drug, mental illness problems that might be an explanation that might kick the charges down from murder to manslaughter.
You know, Royal, we now know that he will be represented by defense attorney Alan Jackson. He's represented some high-profile names, among those Harvey Weinstein. Your thoughts on that choice and that he will be pursuing mental health issues or drug issues?
Well, absolutely. Alan Jackson is a high-profile trial lawyer. People may remember back in the day when Phil Spector was found guilty of killing Lana Clarkson, the DA was Alan Jackson. And now, as you say, Kevin Spacey, Karen Reed, the lady who was found not guilty of murdering her boyfriend in Massachusetts recently, plus Harvey Weinstein. He is quite a prominent criminal defense attorney. As to whether or not there will be mental issues, we just don't know anything about the physical evidence. We don't know how strong the case is. We do know about this provocative holiday party that Conan O'Brien hosted on Saturday, where Bill Hader and others were there, who possibly observed a confrontation between Nick and his dad. They could all be on a very lengthy, high-profile witness list in this case.
So what are some of the key elements here that we're likely to see in this defense address that the mental health issues will be addressed here in this trial going forward, let's say?
So there are a couple of ways to go to explain away or resist the prosecution of a situation where the evidence is very strong that he did it. First, insanity. Now, insanity is where you don't know right from wrong. Now, is that the case? Well, who knows? You could have a battle of experts psychiatrists will be examining Nick. But again, the witnesses who saw him in action Saturday night could be critical there, plus a lot of other witnesses. If insanity isn't in the cards, then there's voluntary intoxication. And the deal here in California is that if you commit a crime, but you did it because you were under the influence of drugs or alcohol, it doesn't get you off. It doesn't justify not guilty. You go free and don't do that again. But it can reduce the specific intent to kill requirement for murder down to manslaughter. And that's gigantic because if you're convicted of murder, you could get the chair, you could get life. But if you're convicted of manslaughter in California, it's going to be probably under 10 years per offense.
And really quickly, Royal, the DA mentioned life in prison without the possibility of parole or even the death sentence. You just mentioned the death sentence. Here in California, is that a stretch?
Yeah, so here's the deal. DAs are free to say, look, the law approves capital punishment in California, and doggone it, I'm going to seek it because this was multiple murders. Governor Newsom can have a moratorium. He can say the process isn't fair. He can give clemency to people. But Newsom can't stop a DA like Nathan Hochman from pursuing and getting a death penalty conviction out of a jury.
All right. Royal, as always, thank you very much for joining us today. And our coverage of the Reiner murders continues on NBCLA.com and the NBCLA app. Find breaking updates on the case, swipe through a gallery of Reiner's career, and watch tributes from Hollywood and beyond.